I'm going to be in for a real treat this morning because one of our employees, Daryl Jones, his daughter Anna, has agreed to speak to us this morning about how important what we do every day is. And I'm not going to tell her story for her. I'm going to let her come up here and introduce herself and kind of let you know how important what you do every day is. Anna?
So hello, I'm Anna Jones. I'm very, very thankful to be able to speak with all of you today. If you didn't already know this, I'm very, very grateful, and I'd like to extend my gratitude to Chris Gregory for inviting me to speak here today. And if you didn't already know this, he's already mentioned this, but my dad, Daryl Jones, works here with you at Catalent. So I really do consider it a privilege to be able to share a little of my personal story to you this morning. I understand that this room is filled with people who are involved in drug discovery and development, and I hope to convey just how important the work that you do every day is for many people to have better health and a better life. It is especially important to a person such as myself, who is completely reliant upon medicinal therapy to sustain my life. I hope that by sharing some of my story, you will realize the impact that you have on many people in our community and in our world. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I'm 16 years old. I go to Heritage High School. I'm a junior in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I live in Raleigh with my parents, 2 cats and a rabbit. I have a brother who's a junior at NC State University. He's right over there, and so are my parents and my grandparents and my uncle, so thank you so much. I enjoy school. I play tennis on my school's tennis team. I love going to the beach and going to the mountains. I love spending time with my family and friends and just living a typical teenage lifestyle. And like any teenage girl, I have lots of problems and real life issues and different challenges that I have to overcome every day, but none so continual and monumental as my final struggle with type 1 diabetes. In April of 2000, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was only 2 years old and had not yet learned how to communicate. I was going through a period of time in which I was constantly thirsty, having trouble eating anything, losing weight, and I had a very bad diaper rash, which we learned later was caused by the high levels of glucose in my urine. All I could do was cry. At that age, I had no understanding of what was happening to me or my body, and I couldn't communicate any other way. My mom took me to my primary doctor, just thinking that I had a bad diaper rash, but after discussing some of the symptoms, I was rushed to the hospital. I was admitted to WakeMed on April 17th of 2000, and spent the next 5 days in the hospital receiving my first administration of insulin. It was a whirlwind of doctors, diabetes educators, and counselors, all training us how to use and administer insulin, test and sorry, I lost my spot. Test blood glucose levels, count carbohydrates, and how to manage diabetes. It was a life-changing event, and I'm still managing my disease today. A little bit about the disease and why type 1 is known as insulin dependence. Type 1 diabetes is thought to be caused by an autoimmune response attacking the beta cells in the islets of the Langerhans in the pancreas. These beta cells are responsible for producing sufficient quantities of insulin to respond to increasing levels of absorbed glucose in the bloodstream. Your body's cells use glucose as energy, and their ticket to get inside of the cell is insulin. If your body no longer produces insulin, your glucose levels will skyrocket out of control, leading ultimately and relatively quickly to ketoacidosis, then coma, and finally death. Currently, the only way to counteract this process is to artificially provide insulin from an external source. I rely a lot on medical products just to maintain my daily life. I'm always fighting a battle with the balancing of carbohydrate intake and insulin dosages to maintain a physiological equilibrium of my blood glucose. I am very glad that there are people whose job it is to make sure that all of these medical supplies that I require every day are safe, reliable, and available. Without the people behind the products, I cannot manage my disease. Taking it just a step further, I'd like to say that it is the people who do the research and develop treatments, drugs, and products which make my disease management and quality of life possible. Some of the supplies that I use are listed here in this picture. On a daily or weekly basis, I use insulin, glucagon, a glucometer, glucose test strips, an insulin pump, insulin reservoirs, pump infusion sets or belly stabs, a lancet device and lancets, which are the finger pricks, syringes for direct shots, tegaderm tape, topical numbing cream for injections, IV prep, alcohol swabs, and rescue glucose through tabs, fruit snacks, or juice. I wear a continuous insulin delivery pump all day, every day, 365 days per year. I rely on this device to help keep me healthy all the time. This device has essentially become an extension of me. It is my first line of defense in the management of diabetes. I know most of you will appreciate a little data, or at least that's what my dad says. So I want to give you a picture of just how much I've used these treatments and technology to help me live every day since I was diagnosed in April of 2000. That is 5,305 days, or 14 years, 6 months, and 9 days. I have pricked my fingers and tested my blood sugar around 40,000 times. I have had about 5,000 insulin shots. I've had about 1,600 insulin site injections for my pump. I've used about 371,000 units of insulin. And if I laid end to end, my pump catheters would be about 12 football fields long. I've also had at least 174 visits to the endocrinologist. I would also like to share that every year since I was diagnosed with diabetes, I have advocated for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation and participated as a captain of a Walk to Cure Diabetes family team called Anna's Angels. This year will be my 15th time leading this team. This picture was taken at my very first walk in 2000 in RTP on the old Nortel Networks campus. It rained that day, but it did not dampen my spirit, as I'm sure you can tell by my super huge smile. At this point in my life, I was taking insulin daily for about 6 months, and I hope you can see just how alive I was and still am. I realize that I am very fortunate to live in a time where medical knowledge and technical advancements are available to us. I know that this future is brighter today than it was just a few years ago. I hope that I have in some small way reminded you of just how important your work is every day to people like me. I would also like to recognize and pay respect to Dr. Marianne Morris, the doctor who first treated me when I was 2 years old. She still made it a point of seeing me at the walks and still cared how I was doing, even after she retired from medical practice. That is a picture of the two of us from our last walk together. She really exemplified the true heart of a caring and involved scientist and medical practitioner and will forever be missed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. And now if you could please play the video.